All right, welcome to The Explainer. Every single day, we're all navigating this world that's guided by invisible rules. They tell us how to act, what to say, how to fit in. But have you ever stopped to wonder where these rules actually come from? Well, today we're diving deep into socialization, the huge, powerful, and lifelong process that pretty much shapes us into who we are.
So let's jump right in. Imagine you get called into your manager's office. You're expecting a pat on the back, maybe even a thank you, but instead you hear this. This is exactly what happened to an employee named Noel just moments after they thought they'd saved the company from a gigantic financial mistake. You can just feel the air go out of the room, can't you?
So what's your gut reaction here? Who do you side with? Noel, the employee who acted fast and was factually 100% correct, or do you side with Tracy, the manager, who's worried about how things were done, about disrupting the team's way of working? This is the core of the story, and believe me, the answer is way more complicated than it looks.
To really get what's going on, we've got to peel back the layers, because this isn't just some simple disagreement. No, this is about two completely different cultures, two different sets of rules just crashing into each other inside one office. And the stakes here were huge. We're talking $250,000. That's the size of the error Noel found on an equipment bill. So, naturally, they jumped into action, firing off messages, trying to get a hold of anyone to stop the payment. From Noel's point of view, this was a 5-alarm fire.
And here is the absolute heart of the problem. You see, Noel wasn't just an admin. For years, they'd worked as an EMT, a world where every second counts, where fast, decisive action literally saves lives. Urgency is the name of the game. But in the admin office, it's the total opposite. The culture is slow, collaborative, deliberate. Noel was playing by the right rules, but for the wrong game.
So this whole blow-up, it wasn't really about who was right or wrong. It was about something way, way deeper. It was about this invisible process that teaches all of us the unspoken rules of how to belong.
And that process is called socialization. It's basically how we learn the ropes of any group we're a part of, whether it's our country, our family, or, our company. And it's not just socializing, like going to a party. It's the fundamental way we absorb the norms, the values, the beliefs of a group. Which means Noel's problem wasn't a character flaw. It was a socialization mismatch.
But to get how socialization really works on us, we have to ask an even more basic question. How do we even get a sense of self to begin with? It turns out that this core part of you, your identity, it isn't something you're just born with.
Now, psychology often looks inward, right? At the mind, our emotions. But sociology, and this is so key for our story, it looks outward. Sociologists argue our sense of who we are isn't cooked up in a vacuum. Nope, it's built piece by piece through our interactions with the world and the people around us.
A sociologist named Charles Cooley had this brilliant idea he called the looking glass self. And the concept is just fantastic. It's that we don't see ourselves directly. Instead, we see ourselves reflected in a mirror, and that mirror is the people around us. Our sense of self is built from how we imagine they see us. Pretty wild, right?
And George Herbert Mead saw this whole thing as a journey with clear stages. First, as little kids, we just imitate. Then we hit the play stage, where we pretend to be one specific person, playing house or playing doctor. But the big breakthrough is the game stage. Think about a baseball game. To be good, you can't just know your own job. You have to understand the pitcher's role, the catcher's role, what everyone else is thinking and doing all at once. And once you can do that, you've developed what Mead called the generalized other, that gut feeling for the unspoken rules of society itself. That's when you have a true social self.
Okay, so if we're constantly learning these social rules, who are the teachers? Well, it turns out they're all around us, all the time. Sociologists call them the agents of socialization.
And we learn from absolutely everywhere. Our family gives us our first rule book. Then as teenagers, our peer groups come in and basically rewrite the whole thing. School teaches us a formal set of rules: be quiet, raise your hand, wait your turn. The workplace, as Noel found out the hard way, has its own incredibly specific culture. And don't forget mass media, which is constantly telling us what's cool, what's normal, what to want. Each one is an agent shaping us.
So this brings us to a really crucial question.
Is raw talent, pure intelligence enough to make it in the world? Let's look at a case study that shows just how powerful socialization can be, especially when it's up against unbelievable natural ability.
Get a load of this number, 195. That's the estimated IQ of a man named Chris Langan. To put that into perspective, the average IQ is about 100. Einstein's was estimated around 160. So this guy is, by all accounts, a certified genius. You'd think he'd be a Nobel Prize winner or a tech billionaire, right?
But Langan spent most of his life working jobs like these. So what happened? Well, he grew up in extreme poverty, and he never learned the social rules for how to navigate complex institutions. He didn't know how to talk to authority figures, how to ask for what he needed, how to make the system work for him. He had the brilliant mind, but not the practical intelligence that comes from socialization.
And as the author Malcolm Gladwell put it when he wrote about Langan, he'd had to make his way alone, and no one ever makes it alone. And that's really the bottom line here. Success isn't just about what's inside your head. It's so much about the social skills you learn and your ability to play by the hidden rules of whatever world you're in.
And this brings us right back around to Noel. Because what Chris Langan's story really drives home is that learning these rules doesn't stop when you're a kid. It is a lifelong journey of learning and maybe even more importantly, of unlearning.
This process is called re-socialization. It's what happens when you have to ditch your old rulebook and learn a totally new one because you've moved into a new environment. And that is exactly what was happening to Noel. They had to be re-socialized, to unlearn the high-urgency rules of an EMT, to learn the slow and steady rules of an administrator.
And this process can get incredibly intense. Sociologists talk about total institutions. Think about military boot camp or a prison. These are places totally cut off from the outside world, where your old identity is intentionally stripped away so a new one can be built from the ground up. It's re-socialization in its most extreme form.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Just think about your day, the way you talk to your boss, the way you text your friends, even the way you stand in line for coffee. All of it is governed by this incredibly complex web of unwritten rules you've picked up through socialization. So, what are the hidden rules that are shaping your world? Because once you start seeing them, you can't unsee them. Thanks for tuning in.